Hi folks, so on to our next installment of these astrology videos where I'm going around the zodiac and talking about transits in signs that are currently active. I'm going to place links to two videos at the end of this one once I'm done processing them. Almost about a week ago I did an assessment of where all the planets were at this point in time. I think I'm a little bit tilted, so I'm sorry if I'm giving you a sense that I'm like on a ship that's tilted on one side. It's also a different view of the park that I've been doing these videos in. The two videos I'm going to put a link to. One is a general assessment of where things are at astrologically at this point in time, and the other, the last video I did, which was about the sign of Scorpio and the fact that the Mercury cycle in Scorpio is still active till February the 8th. Today we're talking about the sign of Sagittarius, and the third video I'm going to put a link to at the end of this video is the video I did on the solar eclipse in Sagittarius on December the 14th, which talks about that particular eclipse. And we're going to leave it, I'm going to let that video talk about the eclipse. The sign of Sagittarius, because we had a new moon solar eclipse on December the 14th, remains active till the next new moon, which is in Capricorn on January the 13th. 12th or 13th, depending on where you are. So Sagittarius season, even though the sun is out of Sagittarius and it's in Capricorn, technically it's Capricorn season. Officially it's Capricorn season. Mercury has moved out of Sagittarius and is in Capricorn. Sagittarius season, I'd really look at Sagittarius season as being active until the new moon in the next sign occurs, which is the new moon in Capricorn. Now that doesn't mean that the Capricorn themes are not occurring and they're not present. We have heavy hitting planets, the Sun, Mercury, and Pluto in Capricorn. And Capricorn has been one of the signs that has been extraordinarily active since December 2017. When Saturn entered Capricorn, and then we had the eclipses of release or letting go in Capricorn from the middle of July 2018 till the end of this year. So separate video on Capricorn to follow. But we do have Venus left behind in Sagittarius, and it's interesting to think about Venus as a planet that builds on this video I did on Scorpio, the last video I did. Venus was in Scorpio from November the 21st to about December the 15th. December the 14th, we had the new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius, and the next day, December the 15th, Venus entered Sagittarius. And on January the 8th, about a week before the new moon in Capricorn, Venus enters Capricorn. So from December the 15th to January the 8th, we have Venus in Sagittarius. And around January the 8th, there are significant shifts. We have Venus entering Capricorn, we have Mercury entering Aquarius and joining Jupiter and Saturn there, and we have Mars finally out of Aries. A couple of days before that, now into Taurus around January the 6th or so. And so we have the end of the first week of January creates certain shifts for us and starts to continue to move us forward. I also told you that in these videos I was going to talk about which of these videos is concerning the past and which of these are past energies that have really been active since July 2018 and newer energies that have been trying to make their presence felt since April the 4th, 2020, but really by the time we are into the middle of February will really be here. And the Sagittarius energies are very much moving us forward into the next set of themes that we are supposed to be dealing with, and that's what the eclipses in Sagittarius are about. And the new moon solar eclipse video, which I'll put a link to at the end of this video, will expand on that. As we discussed in the Venus and Scorpio video, the last video I just did, themes of relationships are still very, very active in terms, and I'm not talking about dating, and I'm not talking about casual relationships. I'm talking about intimacy, financial intimacy and entanglement, romantic intimacy and entanglement, and in cases where this does not apply, an intensity of feeling with what we would call serious relationships in our life. They could be with friends, they could be with roommates, they could be with family members, they could be with relatives, they could be with anyone with whom we're in some sort of contract. and what it is actually like to be in that contract. Do people keep their word? How do they sabotage themselves? What are their habits? Do we like being with people? Do we not? What constitutes codependency? When does codependency turn into abuse? What does it mean to be independent? And Venus in Scorpio from November the 21st to December the 15th, gosh, I mean, of all the uncomfortable relationship-oriented transits in Scorpio, that would be the one. But on December the 15th, Venus entered Sagittarius, and it would not surprise me if during this period of the Mercury cycle being in Scorpio, being active, and us thinking about and communicating about and writing about and talking about and processing and transacting and signing contracts or drafting them, or in issues related to these intimate, entangled relationships, and especially the financial component that can sometimes be involved in them. It wouldn't surprise me if since December the 15th, and this energy remains current till January the 8th of 2021, if an element of freedom and independence came into the picture. Refreshing, helpful, because it has given us a brief period where we can actually think about ourselves and what is important to us and what is true to us and what is right for us in these negotiations. Sagittarius, the signs build on each other, and after the intensely involved, self-involved, involved with the truth in any relationship, deeply uncomfortable place to be often. After that sign, the sign of Sagittarius comes along to connect us with our independent truth, our sense of calling, our connection with what is authentic for us, what is right for us, that sense that babies or young children have with regard to who they are without conditioning. It's a sign that is associated with God and spirituality and religion. It's a sign that is connected with the bigger picture, not quite the well or the neighborhood we live in or our entanglements. It's very much meant to be a sign of intuition, the occult, to some extent even things like astrology, connection with spirit, long distance travel, anything that takes you out of the mundane and reconnects you, that acts like a compass, the law even, morality, ethics, integrity, self-love in that sense, absolutely, in that sense of who am I, what is right for me, and it's felt with a sense of rightness and calling and integrity and truth, our fundamental truth of who we are as individuals, as each individual, and of course, our fundamental truth of who we are on a spiritual level. As a sign, Sagittarius can, of course, tip over into sort of guru-like tendencies because it tends to be so philosophical, pontificating, a largeness, almost dictatorial sense of what is right or wrong, an interfering sense of what is right or wrong. It is, after all, ruled by Jupiter, and the Sanskrit sort of Hindu word for Jupiter is guru. And while the positive manifestation of that ties it to spirituality, truth, and integrity, and dharma, or dharmic behavior, or correct behavior, when it overtips itself, it sort of lends itself to a certain kind of fanaticism and orthodoxy. Venus in Sagittarius is typically a transit that is experienced by each of us as a reconnecting us to the truth and our independent selves when it comes to relationships and money. And because Venus is a planet of value and what we value, not only do we experience the more mundane aspects of the Venus transit in Sagittarius, which is that wherever Sagittarius sits in your chart and whatever house it occupies, Venus will likely bring opportunities, luck, sometimes financial opportunities, career opportunities, relationship opportunities, luck in the way that we understand it, a lucky break, a lucky connection, mundane luck. It isn't bigger, kind of more terrifying luck that Jupiter brings in, where you don't quite know whether the change that Jupiter's bringing in, which can feel really uncomfortable at the time, you don't know at the time that it's actually an enormously lucky break, like that layoff that leads you to the right path for you, or the divorce that frees you up to be in, you know, Jupiter can create luck in much bigger ways. Venus comes in, you know, it's that email, it's that gift, it's that check, it's that job interview, it's that whatever it is. And with Venus in Sagittarius, after Venus in Scorpio, and with scorpionic things very much on our mind till February the 8th, we're not going to be able to help it, and requiring action that really allows us to put certain things behind us that have been active for 3 or 4 years, especially around the October-November time frame. Water sign activeness, requiring finishing that stuff up. Venus in Sagittarius, and I think at a very right time, comes in to connect us with our values in ways that are both helpful and maybe even a little uncomfortable. The eclipses in Sagittarius are encouraging us to let go of something, or an attachment to something, or a set of comfort zone behaviors, beliefs, values that are like a security blanket and need to be shed. Eclipses related to the South Node always function this way. And with Venus in Sagittarius, not only is Venus connecting us to ourselves, but it could also be connecting us to ourselves in such a way that it is connecting us to an authentic sense of who we are at the truest level of ourselves, but is often forgotten or sacrificed as we go about our day-to-day affairs. And with this connection, as we deal with scorpionic themes related to relationships and money, even employment, you know, who are we entangled with? Who are we codependent with? It could be a boss, it could be a company, it could be an environment. Venus in Sagittarius, December 15th to January 8th, gives us a compass that connects us to our truest sense, that can both be a help as we navigate through these environments, because we kind of need to separate ourselves and feel our own boundaries for who we truly are authentically. But it also can create a sense of, as we reconnect with these, a bittersweet understanding of what we have to let go of, because it's somehow connected to these scorpionic things that we are processing with regard to marriage or divorce, whether it is whoever it is that we are contemplating marriage or divorce to. We think of marriage and divorce only with our spouses, but we really are married to, or, you know, it can be to an employer, it can be to family members, really, in a sense. I know that sounds icky, but it's not meant to. It doesn't have a romantic component to it. In really extreme and detrimental or challenging forms of Scorpio, you know, things like incest and intense codependency can very much be scorpionic themes as well. With Venus in Sagittarius, we're given the gift of rediscovering what is true to us in a very necessary way, both helpfully to help us feel our boundaries, but also in a bittersweet sense, in a slightly challenging sense, because as we reconnect with authentic selves, it may be that we realize that as we process scorpionic themes for the last time through February the 8th, with January the 30th now being the next deadline, all of this will make sense in my Scorpio video that I just did before this one, that in connecting to this authentic self, we may have to come to terms with what isn't right for us, but we're still holding on to and fighting about. Venus on January the 8th goes into Capricorn, and there she brings things down to a very real level, very contractual, very real, very measured, very concrete, very meticulous, especially when it comes to financial affairs. What is mine? What do I need to be? It takes on a very different energy, and a necessary energy again in that phase of scorpionic endeavor. Venus in Capricorn might be about going after the new job, might be about really putting up a fight for what you think you deserve as things are sorted out or carved up. But right now with Venus in Sagittarius, it is this mysteriously helpful and transit that in reconnecting us to our authentic selves and what it is that we truly value, and in some ways the remove of Sagittarius, the hermit-like quality of the sign of Sagittarius, the long distance travel, the solo traveler, the solo meditator, the solo person connecting to their guides, to their authenticity. In some ways, it's helped by the fact that it's happening at a time of the year which typically does allow, typically, not always, but typically does allow people some time to connect with themselves, and this year especially with the lockdowns, where we are not surrounded by people. And it might be a time that really makes us think about, as we are processing intense relationship and financial issues and what we owe others and what others owe us and where we are entangled with them, whether it is emotionally, it really primarily is emotionally, or financially as a byproduct of what the emotional interdependencies and financial interdependencies and contracts have been, then the Venus in Sagittarius gives us the remove and the help and the aid to say, here is your compass, here are your values. And while that is going to help you process these things on a more independent and seemingly more secure footing, it's also going to throw into question what you're really fighting for and what you're really valuing. It'll attempt to give you a bigger picture while you're dealing with very entangled things. And that in itself can be a challenging prospect. Okay, so if you're feeling that way and if this resonates, don't be surprised. It's part of the package, part of the equation. Now, the next sign I'm going to talk about is going to be Capricorn. And of course, with the sun in Capricorn, we're going to have the full moon in Cancer on the 29th of December. So the next two videos, one is going to be about planets in Capricorn, with Mercury entering Capricorn, having entered Capricorn, the sun being in Capricorn. And of course, the one after that is going to be about the full moon in Cancer. And then we'll move forward into Aquarius. And I think as of right now, after Aquarius, you know, depending on the timing of it, I may well, it's either going to be Aries or Taurus by the time I get to that particular video, because Mars at the end of the first week of Jan moves from Aries to Taurus. And signs that have not been that active, Aquarius, Taurus, are now going to become really that much more active. So Scorpio, dealing with past energies and putting them to bed, not an easy sign. Not Mercury cycle in Scorpio is not having to articulate, think through, put words to relationship, and the most intimate and intricate relationship issues is always challenging. Mercury being in Sag and Venus currently in Sag, helping to reconnect us to our values and also helping us look forward to what is true for us, so that as we start to process these entanglements, we can keep an eye towards future directions, authentic directions, what is true for us. The Capricorn energies and the Cancer full moon are really going to deal with past energies again, and then of course the new Aquarius, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Okay, we will leave it at this. If you found this video useful, feel free to share it, tell your friends about it. Feel free to like the video or comment on it. Apparently that gives greater circulation on YouTube. My contact information is, so please feel free to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you're notified whenever I do new videos. And then my contact information is going to be in the description area once I'm done processing this video, and you can reach out to me for rates for readings, or if you want me to make an easy to read version of your chart. That'll tell you which signs are in which houses. Okay, I will leave it at that, and until our next tete-a-tete.